Hello, hello, everyone. How's it going? Hi, Carix. Hi, Gabriel. How you doing? How is everybody? I'm gonna open up my timer. Open in browser. Come here, buddy. And then let's get some stuff going for the people over on YouTube. We got some rain sounds, some cafe sounds. We love that for us. I hope everybody is doing great, though. Hi, Cal. Hey, thanks for that 3-day watch streak, Gabriel. That's so nice. 3-stream watch streak. I love that. Oh my god, this mochi donut is so drippy. Is real. Oh, guys. It is not stiff. I'm okay. Nice. Honestly, that's okay. Getting the front view done is really, really, really important. I'm sure it's fantastic. Carix, I don't know if you've seen my comic, but if you like Journey to the West, I'm doing an adaptation called Heaven's Equal on Top Us and Webtoon if you want to check it out. So I'm eating this mochi donut and it is like kind of melty. So I'm very sticky right now. So I realized I thought I was going to be working today on making an outline for this novella. And then I remembered that I was the GOAT. And I outlined this all 3 novellas in the beginning. So I don't have to worry about it. So that means I just get to start writing today, which is good. I have to write, my goal is to write 2,000 words, which I likely will go over for a Wattpad contest for this novella. I already started writing the Baris novella, and I wanted to write these things in order. But, yes, Jace is my husband. Oh my god, Garrix, you're so nice! Oh my god! You're so nice to me. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you enjoy it. Honestly, if you like it a lot, one thing that helps me out as an indie author is reviews on Amazon. I have 2 volumes out right now. Heaven's Equal Volume 1, which is chapters 1 through 5, and Volume 2, which is chapters 5 through 10. So if you're feeling so inclined, if you want to go over to Amazon and leave a review, I would really appreciate that a lot. Let me know if you do, because then I would love to spotlight it.
Hey, baby. I think I have your chai, actually.
Oh! Well, you want to swap it?
Yeah. Because I'm like, this tastes like chai.
It's not chai.
No?
This is coffee.
Oh. They both taste similar, though.
Yeah, this is chai.
That's fucking wild.
Yep. Yep, indeed. Yeah, Jace has off on Tuesdays, so we hang out on Tuesdays, which is pretty cool. But yeah, if you need those links, Carix, let me know. Because I can get those to you, but it's just under my first name. And Heaven's Equal, I think, is the only comic on the market that's named that, which is pretty sick. I did that on accident. That was not intentional. But feeling pretty good about it. But, yeah, I really appreciate that a lot. I'm so glad that you love the comic. That is awesome. Okay. Alright, let me see what we got going on here. So yes, we're going to try and get through effectively all the way through here. Now I have to figure out how I want to start this novella because it needs a really good fucking strong hook. I recognize that this is not romance, and so Wattpad might be kind of unkind to me for this content. I'm also going to have to put a pretty big content warning. That being said, I will put a content warning at the beginning of this novel. It looks like nothing crazy is going to happen until maybe the next time I'm working on this. So no content warnings for anything cray-cray at this point. But there's going to be some pretty heavy themes in this particular novella specifically. So I'm going to bring this over here. Let me get new. We're going to go over here like this. Oh my god, I'm so glad that Tumblr actually kind of helped me. That's crazy. I only occasionally post over on Tumblr, and I know that there's so many people out there that would really like the comic. So posting on Fur Affinity has been kind of helpful. Tumblr has been kind of helpful. But yeah, my following is still pretty tiny, pretty teeny weeny, but that's alright. Oh yeah, this is totally the Adeni chai. This is the chai for sure. I got some new style of chai that I've never had before, and it's amazing. I'm used to Indian chai, but Yemeni style chai is something that's kind of new to me, and this Adeni chai is just like... It's really good. It's kind of bitter, but it's definitely more tea forward than sugar forward. Like, Indian chai tends to be really condensed milk or sugar forward, and this is more tea forward. Super, super good. Oh my god, time to spam this comic to my Journey to the West obsessed friend. Oh my god, no, that's so nice though. Seriously, so nice. Yeah, I've been working on this comic for like... Since, I think the first issue was reworked in like 2018, but I've been working on it since like 2017, 2018, and then I re-released... Had to redo all the art, and then I started officially releasing it in 2020. So now I'm like kind of up to the point where I'm doing 2 pages a week instead of 1 page a week, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I'm over like 200 pages. I didn't think it was going to last this long. I didn't think I was going to keep working on this for this long. And then now I feel obligated to finish it. It's like if I don't, I'll just be sad. We got a really tiny sprint for this first sprint. So, if you guys have not been in sprint streams before, effectively what they are, these are really popular among the writing community, but effectively what they are, in order to best focus on like, art itself. Oh, I forgot that I actually have this document. To focus on the actual writing process itself, the way that we typically do this is we'll run sprints. So, in other words, we will, work on stuff for like while the timer is going, so you guys can see the timer that's like over here above my head. I roll dice to determine how long we work. We'll work on stuff while the timer is going on, and then when we get done, we'll come back and chat, so that way we can focus on writing or drawing or whatever it is we're working on. But you're free to do anything during the sprint. You can work on art, you can work on writing, clean your apartment, play games, take a nap, like literally anything goes. But if you want to work, you're more than welcome to do so. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start this sprint. 12 minutes is kind of tiny. And I'm going to get going on writing this novella so that way I can enter this damn Wattpad contest and something ends up happening. It would be great if I could win this contest and get like a review or something. I think that's what the prize is for this contest, is like an editorial review, but that would be really beneficial for this particular book release. I would really love that. So, wish me luck. I'm going to go ahead and start writing, and we're going to try and just blast through this. And I will talk to you all at the end of 12 minutes. Here we go. All right. How did everybody do? I only have 344 words, but that was kind of a short sprint. I had to stop and like look up a bunch of research on what Ukraine looked like in 1991. So I feel like Boris's novella, because it takes place in America, is going to be a lot easier for me to control because I know what the 80s, the early 80s were like in the United States. So researching what early 90s Ukraine was like as after the dissolution of the USSR is going to be a completely different fucking animal. So that's going to be, I've got to be able to describe what's going on without completely just overwhelming people with information and while trying to be as accurate as humanly possible. But hi Goose, hi Chips. Hope you're doing well. Oh, nice. I overslept, but that's good. Yeah, honestly, can't complain about getting sleep. Oh, so it's effectively just chai coffee.
Yeah.
That's so cool, though. But, like, honestly, their chai is so fucking good. This is like how you make your chai.
Yeah.
Where it's really tea forward and it's not as like condensed milk forward as like Indian chai. So this just tastes like what you made at home the other day, which is super good. It's really cool to know the difference, to be honest. Also, everybody hydrate. As I said, I'm drinking Adeni chai. It's Yemeni style chai, and boy howdy, I'm a happy man. If I could have chai every morning, like I'd be a happy dude. Also, everybody stretch. Everybody stretch. Thank you so much for the self-care reminders, everyone. Also, I'm working on, for those of you who have not been in the stream before, I am I've written like 11 books. If anybody wants to check them out, I just dropped a link into the Twitch chat. But my most, I guess like probably my most well-loved series and the first one that I wrote was a middle grade called the Brady Von Altus books, and I'm now working on adult novellas about the older members of the family. So the Brady Von Altus series was about Brady, who's the youngest member of the family. He's 10 and 11 throughout the series. This is about his dad, his aunt, and his uncle instead. So we're working on Liz's novella. It fits the theme of a Wattpad contest that they're doing for, it's called Open Novella is what it is, but I had to pick from these lists of prompts, so that's where this gets tricky. The only one that fit my story at all was this John Muir quote, which is, "And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul." So I had to incorporate that somewhere into the novella. I'm not necessarily super mad about it, and I think I did a pretty good job, but now I have to crank out 2,000 words this week alone to be able to enter the initial phase of the contest. The way that this contest works is that the first month of the novella contest, you have round 1, which is a 2,000 word, I guess a 2,000 word submission. And let's see. Yeah, you have a total of at least 2K words written for your story. You can have more than 2K words, but no less, so I really should focus on more. We do not expect to see the prompt in the first 2K words. Instead, for round 1, we rely on the hook, and hopefully that'll get there. I don't know how to submit at this point. But this is a different submission process than the Waddies. I will look at it later. I see, you must fill out the relevant submission form. Gotcha, okay. Form will be open, it closes on February 28th. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with. I got a lot of stuff that's going on, so I need to make sure that all of my checklists are met. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this will actually go well. We will see. But that's what I am working on. So I've started with I think what hopefully is a pretty decent hook. I recognize that Wattpad is really looking for like the strongest fucking hooks of all time. So I have to think about how like hold on. But yeah, so I need to focus on remembering what I did for my submissions for their originals, and then go from there. So that's kind of what we're gonna go for here. Let me see. We want to link to the whole story. All prompts are numbered. You only have to submit the number of prompts you used for round 1. So I have to do 16. And then where the 2K milestone is. Okay, so this is actually not so bad. Not so bad. All right, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. But hopefully everybody else is working on some fun stuff. It looks like we're going to be starting ads in about a minute. So if you're over on Twitch, keep that in mind. I hope that is your computer doing better, Chips? Or is it being crispy? Do we have to karate chop it? I will karate chop it. Don't tempt me. Oh, we got a big sprint next time. Let's see, 16, 20, 28. No, I really hope that that's not the case. But yeah, I hope that if you do take it in, that they can figure it out quickly. You know, so annoying. Moving computers is really hard. I'm definitely I have to like back up literally everything. I'm trying to figure out if I want to actually just take out my whole machine and like unpack everything before we move, or if I don't know. I can trust my dad. He moves computers. Like, I think about how he moves his shit to Kansas all the time, all of his photography equipment, and I just have to trust that he's going to be able to get it, and it's not gonna do anything weird. Hard. That's all I gotta say. Is just a bummer. We're gonna have a chunkin' 28-minute sprint, or like minute sprint. But here we are, I guess. So the next thing I'm going to be working on for this section is I can actually close Wolf in the Walls. I don't need this anymore. Goodbye. I'm still in the intro, and I have to describe Liz going to Ukraine. So I'm going to be doing a lot of research on that, on the politics, on what... like, on what was going on. Apparently, what in the hell is the Chicken Kiev speech? What? Oh my god. Apparently, George Bush George Bush Sr., so not George Bush, George W. Bush, gave a speech, this speech talking about Ukraine when it became independent. Why did they end up calling it Chicken Kiev? Why did they call it that? What happened? Oh my god. It was mocked by columnist Willem Sapphire and others as the chicken or cowardly for advising against suicidal nationalism and supporting that. Wow, George H.W. Bush supported the Soviet Union as a whole rather than supporting Ukrainian independence in 91. Oh my god. And everybody was pissed that they weren't supporting Ukrainian independence. By God, Chicken Kiev, I wasn't ready. Yeah, so I got to do a bunch of research on this because I recognize that the Von Altises, while effectively raised by a Ukrainian fairy, the way that I've gotten around it in my own work is that Gran is so disconnected from human politics, Ukrainian culture, all of those things, that she effectively picked up stuff to survive. And so, like, she recognizes, for example, that, like, Zarkoshche speaks Russian, and so she encouraged her kids to learn Russian because they they want, you know, she wants them to be able to integrate with the Slavic fairy world as best as possible, so those kinds of things. And so, like, Liz and Rollo really experience Ukraine and Russia and the USSR in the 90s as a fully raised American person would have experienced the USSR. So thankfully I can kind of take that approach, but I have to do a lot of research on, like, what that looks like. So hard, gross, lots of research. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this next sprint. So we're going to work for like another 20 minutes. Let me know what you're working on in the chat. I'd love to hear about your projects, or if you're working on anything cool. Literally info dump at me. That's my favorite thing in the whole world. Don't be shy. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this sprint, and I will see you all in like 28 minutes. Here we go. Alright, how did everybody do? Okay, I am, this is the most research-heavy shit humanly possible that I could have asked for. I don't know why I did this to myself. I made a mistake. I made a mistake, guys. And by that I mean oh yeah, and then there's just straight bog. Oh, that's so weird. Oh man, I made a mistake. Okay, I just don't remember. Like, I'm not familiar with this area, so this is gonna be, it's gonna be a lot of research for this piece. That's effectively the hell that I'm trapped in. Oh my god, you did it! You did the Oregon Trail with no dysentery. That's pretty good. Chips, have you seen the musical Trail to Oregon? Because actually I feel like you're now obligated to watch that because you successfully you did it. Okay, Lore Dump. Alright, Aster is my Minotaur for the... Oh my god, Shrek. Hell yeah. Shrek is love, Shrek is life. We have a group of monster transfer students attending the human school in the third movie. Oh yeah, that's the King Arthur movie. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, Aster's designed on the OG Minotaur Asterion, so he's lived in the maze most of his life. RIP. The Palace of Knossos is a wild place. If you have any questions about what the Palace of Knossos looks like, I've stood in that thing. So please feel free to let me know. I love the info dump about how somebody almost got attacked by a fucking peacock over there. It was really funny. Also, we got an uwu. But yeah, that's really fucking cool. I love the King and the Queen of the Talking Bull. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. Obviously, when I went to Knossos, the building had unfortunately mostly been taken out by the fucking earthquake that happened, which almost killed all the Minoans. So that was, they were effectively trying to restore and rebuild a lot of the stuff, the ruins themselves that had been knocked down. But I was walking pretty freely inside the palace itself. And I would not have anticipated, yeah, because like that's the reason the Minoans ended up dying. In case nobody knew, there was a massive fucking volcanic eruption several islands away, that earthquaked the entire palace of Knossos, and then really the entire island of Crete or Crete. It fucking rocked the whole island, and then that caused in Knossos the fucking oil lamps all got knocked over inside of the building and set the entire fucking thing on fire because the Minoans were building their columns out of wood and not out of marble or stone like the mainland Greeks were. So everything fucking caught on fire, and then the wealthy decided that they were going to try and flee by boat and didn't realize that the aftermath of a fucking earthquake is typically a tsunami, and so all of the wealthy and the royalty of Knossos, including potentially King Minos himself, got fucking absolutely annihilated by a tsunami, and the only people that lived were the poor who decided to run up to the top of a nearby mountain as the tsunami just completely fucking flooded the island. So really high-key sucked. Really bad. So the Minoans got like straight up wiped out. But I was in the more like labyrinthine portions of the palace itself, and I think what surprised me the most is that the actual hallways of the palace were, I shit you not, 4 feet wide. They were, or sometimes less, like they were really, really, really narrow. So I think when we think about this labyrinth, you know, I think about how it was represented in like Assassin's Creed Odyssey as this absolutely massive labyrinthine place. But the goal of the palace was to invoke claustrophobia, and so there were definitely places where well-stationed guards would have been put, and it was less of a labyrinth and more of a really well-designed fortress that did feel labyrinthine in nature. You would turn corners, and there would be, like, weird fucking dead ends where there would be guards stationed, so, like... But it was narrow as fuck. Like, it was really wild. Like, at most, in the widest places, it was wide enough for people to stand 2 people shoulder to shoulder. But everywhere else was narrower than that. It was a freaky fucking experience. But the architecture, absolutely beautiful. And I did almost watch a fucking pedestrian get attacked by a peacock because they didn't realize that it was not like a zoo peacock. It was just a fucking peacock that was living outside in the wild. And it was like... the Greek equivalent of a wild turkey, and that person almost got like fucking bombarded by the male peacocks. So that was like a whole thing. But yeah, it was really beautiful. I'd recommend looking up yeah, pictures of it. The pictures do really good justice. They had working sewage, unlike a lot of other places in the world, like the medieval world. So, for example, I guess this is a funny fact about Shrek. It's very unlikely that Far, Far Away would have had working sewers. But Knossos did. Knossos had like a super streamlined like plumbing infrastructure. And so like everybody else would have been like in stinky poo poo land. And so that might be a fun detail to fucking include if you have your Minotaur just being upset that there's no fucking toilets and like everybody has to poop in an outhouse or in a chamber pot. Like that was definitely unheard of for them. Like thousands of years ago, they had fucking sewage. He'd be like, "Why are you guys pooping in weird pots and chucking it out the window? I don't understand." Like, I think both. I think, Ava, the answer is both. I think Poop Street. I think if you were wealthy, the answer is Poop Street, because you just chuck all that shit out the window onto the pedestrians below. Fuck them. I think Duloc especially would have been Poop Street. Especially. And I think that Lord Farquaad would have found great joy in chucking his poop pot out onto the fucking street. Oh my god, I forgot about the fucking chamber pot swirlies. Yeah, I don't know. Shrek is surprisingly historically accurate. I want to give the fucking writers of Shrek a massive, like, accolade for creating an incredibly immersive and wonderful world. I think they did such a good fucking job with their research. Amazing. Amazing job. I have to try and figure out how this fucking thing looks. All of a sudden you just like... These are like more birches. I don't want to paint this place as like a dense forest. I have to like do research on... This is like a nice little park. This looks like a newer building though. I have to try and like accurately represent this area. And I don't think that she's going... She would get dumped off somewhere. What is that? Oh, and then that's the trolley station. I see. Sorry, I'm so crispy. I'm doing so much fucking research. How am I? I am doing okay. I'm trying to get through like 2,000 words of this novella to enter a contest this week, but I'm at 781, so that's pretty fucking good. Doing lots of research for this thing. I'm almost through like my first like 2 months of clients from my liminal house stuff, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm going to just be trying to get everybody to do testimonials now, so that's pretty exciting. And I've been running ads for the first time on my liminal house TikTok, which is great. We are almost up to 1,000 followers on TikTok over there. I don't know how quality the followers are from promotions like that, so that will remain to be seen. But yeah, it's a whole thing. So that should be kind of fun. Yeah, I'm super happy about that. I had a video go viral recently over on fucking TikTok and it hit like 50K. Which is insane. The thing now has 8,000, almost 9,000 likes, and yeah, it hit like 50K. But holy shit. So that's my more recent, like, I had success, which is absolutely wild. But otherwise, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The Shrek writers are so smart. No, absolutely. They are like, the Shrek movies, in my opinion, are some of the best written comedies. Not just like animated films, but comedies of all time. Amazing. Oh my god, you guys have a Cyclops. Oh my god, 3 mean popular girl witches. I fucking can't. A Chihuahua mimic. I can't. It's an angry box. Oh god, rip. He's related to Farquaad. Rip. That fucking sucks, though. Can you imagine being a fully grown-ass adult and being like, yeah, my second uncle is fucking Lord Fuckwad. Like, that's gotta suck so bad. I can't. Whatever this is, fucking incredible. Shrek is love, Shrek is life. I'm so fucking, I'm so down. What is impressive to me about Shrek is that Lord Fuckwad. Yeah, did you not know that Farquaad is a fuckwad joke? Yeah. No, Lord Farquaad is definitely 100% a fuckwad joke. Definitely. Well, are you guys okay? So this is like, oh my god, this is such a fandom fucking question. But are you guys gonna incorporate the lore that's from the Shrek musical at all? Where like Farquaad is actually like a dwarf. I think he's like actually a magical creature. I think if I remember right, I haven't seen the musical in a long time, but he himself also has magical creature lineage. He just happens to be very tall for a dwarf. Yeah, he's half dwarf. Yeah, I think that that shit's so fucking important for his character. It's like such internalized racism. Oh my god. It like the writers are so fucking good. It's like it's insane. I think that like yeah, Shrek as a cultural piece is maybe one of the best pieces of American media that's ever been written. So fucking good. Oh, I could talk about that shit forever. I love how we covered Poop Street today. God. All right, well, that being said, we've been chatting for about 12 minutes, so that means it's time for another sprint. I could literally fucking talk about Shrek for so long. I'll have to tell you about our adventures watching The Rescuers again for the first time last night, because we've been trying to watch all the Disney videos so that Disney movies so that we can get like good critiques on them. And I'm trying to like dissect what made the good Disney movies actually good. And following up The Sword and the Stone, which is potentially one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen, actually, with The Rescuers, was like insane. It was a day and night experience, absolutely. Okay, well, I'll see you later, Ava. Thanks for popping in. It was good seeing you again. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and whatever hell you're going into, I hope it's not so bad. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into this 13-minute sprint. We got a little baby sprint. My writing is going to be a lot slower just because I'm doing so much research at the same time. So wish me luck. Godspeed. And I will talk to you all in just a second. Here we go. Oh, I'm a dumbass, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm muted. I'm so dumb. I was talking about with Jace about the watch that their friend got to wrap for Idris Elba. That's fucking insane. But also Atlantis and Treasure Planet hit. Technically, that was still the end of the Disney Renaissance. I believe that the Disney Renaissance ended in like 2001. So that technically, 99. I guess 99 is when the Renaissance is considered to have ended. So it was kind of, I consider like Treasure Planet kind of on the coattails of the Renaissance. If it was me, I would personally put 2001. If it was me, and I recognize I'm not an animation historian, I don't consider myself an expert in that. I have like 3 animation degrees, so I guess take that into consideration. But if it was me, I would argue that 2001 really was the end of the Disney Renaissance, but Treasure Planet, I think, is 2002. Yep, 2002. So that was like the petering coattail. I still consider those films to be like a part of that that specific period. But yeah, super cool. Atlantis hits. We just watched Treasure Planet recently too, and that one was exceptionally well done. Really, really good. We're kind of stuck in like I've just been randomly generating films, Disney films to watch, and the last several that we've watched were during the period of like what I would call like Walt's death. He died in '66, and the period from effectively 64, 65-ish through like the 80s, through 1980, is what I would call like the oops, Walt died bankruptcy period. And so for whatever reason, all the randomly generated movies that we've been watching from that period, they all lined up. We watched Sword in the Stone, which was 65, Robin Hood, 73, and then we just watched Rescuers, which was 77. And you can literally track how bad it was when Walt Disney died, and the company just got completely sideswiped by that, to them trying to recover. And it was people like Mick Call and Glenn Keane and like others of the Disney like 9 Old Men that legitimately dragged the company out of bankruptcy. But those first years while Walt was effectively like terminally ill and kind of dying, and then shortly after when he did die, their films were so fucking bad. They were really, really, really bad. And the company almost went bankrupt. So the 70s was a weird period for Disney. I'm sure Pete's Dragon was also from there. And that was like also another not that 2016. Yeah, 77. Yeah, in 77 to 79, they also started to experiment with live action because animation was too expensive and they were too bankrupt to be able to produce fully animated films. And those like live action hybrids and full live action movies, like the ones that came out in 79 and 80, are considered some of the worst Disney films ever fucking made. So their strategy was like really, really bad. But yeah, I recognize we were in ads, but I definitely consider like the Atlantis and Treasure Planet era, so that's 2001 to 2002, give or take, the very end of the Disney Renaissance. I know a lot of art historians will list like 99 as the end of the Disney Renaissance. So I don't personally think that, like, I recognize that Disney was experimenting with 2D 3D blends, but they also were doing that with Pocahontas too, and Pocahontas was at the peak of the Disney Renaissance as well. So I personally don't consider that an experimental period. To me, that's kind of like the last bastion of like good Disney animation. And then effectively from like 2003 onward, there were a few hits from classic, amazing animators. So like Tangled is fine, Princess and the Frog is fine, and then everything after that is just like, it's really hit or miss. Some of them are super, super good, and then the rest of them are just trash. But yeah, we were watching Rescuers, and Rescuers, like, the company was doing so bad. Don Bluth was a principal animator on The Rescuers, and it was his first lead animator, like, role. Like, that was an animation director position. and Disney was doing so bad that he did The Rescuers. He animated both Bernard and Bianca for that film. And then he was like, the company is fucking drowning and failing. I have to go. And then that's when he jumped ship to go start Don Bluth animation, because the company was doing so bad. And he was watching accountants effectively try and decide what was best for the animation industry and what was best for Disney. And they literally tanked the whole fucking company. So it's very similar to what we're dealing with right now with Bob Chapek versus Bob Iger. And then now whoever their fucking new CEO is. Who the hell is the new CEO? 2026. The guy's name is Josh D'Amaro. What has he done? Disney Experiences. So he's like Bob Iger's like second in command. He very much like Bob Iger handles theme parks, resorts, and cruise ships, which tells me that Disney is not really focusing on animation. They're focusing on the quote experience. But yeah, it's fucking boy. Boy, that's all I gotta say. Disney's had a rocky road, but definitely Atlantis and Treasure Planet were like the last, and Lilo and Stitch too, were like the last really good Disney movies. And then yeah, it's been a slow, rocky descent from there. All right, so Dee is Lancelot's younger half brother. They're French. That makes a lot of fucking sense. Looked at in my head, it made much more sense like where Far, Far Away and travel stuff is in the films. Oh, yeah, totally. No, I 100% agree. Far, Far Away is, like, some weird... Because, like, Duloc itself is very French-coded. They have a lot of French architecture and, like, even the forests and the swamps, like, the bogs look very, like, especially, like, northern France. Like, I would 100% agree with that. I think that's not a bad estimation to make. No, I love that. And then I think about how, like, the Three Little Pigs are very German, you know? So it's, like, there's a little bit of influence from, like, the Grimm brothers and, like, other German folktales as well. So it would make sense for them to be in a centralized location. Not necessarily in Britain, but in Central or, like, Western... Or not Western Europe. Oh, yeah, no, Western Europe. Like, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's fucking fun. I love that. God bless. Lancelot's surname is Duloc. Why would they do that to him? I the Shrek writers went rogue. Well, what pisses me off about this as somebody who is just, like, we just watched The Sword and the Stone, like I was saying, the inaccuracy to the Arthur myths, like, and I recognize that King Arthur as a myth base has such a broad set of interpretation and very wide myth variation because so many different cultures and countries and people reinterpreted the Arthur myth just overall. But that being said, there are a few like things, like basic things that are pretty straightforward with that, like Arthur, for example, like I don't believe he was Saxon. Hold on. Yeah, no, he's Celtic British. Right, Romano-British, right? And so, like, having him be this traditional Anglo-Saxon-looking dude, just factually incorrect, right? And, like, I think about how his uncle, it would have been, like, Ambrosius Aurelianus would have been related to him, and that dude was, like, a full Roman general, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, for people to watch Disney's The Sword and the Stone and have effectively the entire film comprised of super bad Anglo-Saxon caricatures that don't accurately reflect any of the culture is insane. Like, and then looking comparatively at Shrek, where they have Arthur as this, like, kind of, like, strawberry blonde, like, definitely Roman-looking kid, like, looking at him logistically, he doesn't look like Anglo-Saxon at all, which is fantastic. So, like, somehow the Shrek movies are so fucking historically accurate, and then, like, in comparison, The Sword and the Stone was, like, one of the fucking worst interpretations of that story that I've ever seen. Also, hello, let's see, hold on. Oh, my brain short-circuited. Melpomenea, I love that. I love that, that username. Melpomene is such a beautiful Greek name. It's like Welsh, but before Welsh and Cornish and Northern were different cultures. Yeah, exactly. Like, people forget that there were so many like small ethnic groups at play in Britain. And like people don't know, they just don't know, and like the story has been so violently westernized, or like I would call like Hollywoodized in like such a bad way. So it literally blows my mind that the Shrek writers were like, hold on guys, we're about to make like the most lore accurate King Arthur interpretation that anybody has ever seen. And it's like they didn't have to, like they didn't have to. But welcome into the stream for the first time. I appreciate you being here. My name is Tycho. I'm an award-winning author and illustrator and animation professor. So we're talking a little bit about animation history in here while we're taking a quick writing break. Other cool thing about Idris Elba in relation to my friend, he worked at the same auto plant that her grandfather worked at. That's crazy! Small world. Idris Elba's such a fucking icon. He's so cool. Like, what a cool human. Yeah, Shrek is like one of the very few movies I remember seeing non-Anglo-Saxon white people. No, it's true. Well, and I feel like Chips, unfortunately, like, yeah, Disney had such like a monopoly on animated films for so long, and then also too, like, from an animation history standpoint, like Walt was so racist that like no joke, we were watching The Rescuers and it was crazy because Walt died in 1966, right? And so then you're looking at movies that came out shortly after his death that he would have been involved in. And so then you have really weird things like The Sword and the Stone, where their history's all messed up, nothing makes any sense, and then you have predominantly a white cast with white characters. And then what would have come out right after that was The Aristocats, which had really bad racist stereotypes in it, and Walt likely started working on that one before he died and then never finished it. And then by the time you get to The Rescuers in 77, all of a sudden you have representations of like North African black women that aren't racist caricatures. Like there are so many international little like mice characters in there. And granted, the main cast is still white, but for the first time in a Disney film, there aren't any racist caricatures in it all of a sudden. And it's like, that's crazy. You know, so like literally Walt Disney died and everybody collectively went, okay, so we can stop being racist now, right? Like, and it's like, it's mind boggling. It's absolutely insane. And not to say that they handled like race issues or other discrimination issues perfectly after that point. You know, the movies are still very much like a sign of their time, but like so crazy. Yeah, I would recommend everybody go back and watch The Rescuers again if you have not seen the movie again. But like the Rescue Aid Society, like if you look at these people, they do have some like cultural costume stereotypes that are going on, but like you have this little Pakistani guy, this lady is a German woman, but then you have this African mouse here, and then this guy is he unfortunately is broadly represented as Arabia, so again not perfect. Like he could have been Iranian or Syrian or Lebanese, right? And it would have made a lot more sense. Or maybe from like, maybe their indication is potentially that he's from Saudi Arabia specifically, because that looks more like their cultural dress. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you know, I think about the turbans here. Sorry about this crazy stuff. Hold on, let me open this here. Yeah, you have like more of a turban look, or this head scarf look with these specific tunics and things like that, and this little guy definitely looks like that. So that might have been what they meant. But like the fact that, you know, there's so many different countries represented, and they're not like weird racist stereotypes to such a degree that previous Disney movies had been, is really impressive to me. And I think it's a pretty obvious shift from other Disney films in the 70s and other animated films from the 70s, which were just loaded with like the craziest racism I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, so bad. Also, Madame Medusa is potentially one of the best animated villains I've ever seen in my life. Like, this was Mick Call working predominantly on this character. Oh my god. Wow. So if everybody has an opportunity to go and watch that film again, highly would recommend it. I effectively had whiplash going from The Sword and the Stone to that movie in terms of writing quality. I was like, Don Bluth literally gave this movie mouth to mouth. Like, oh my god, they had to defibrillate the hell out of that movie. So crazy. Oh my god, yes, Carrix, The Witcher. No, for real. The books are so amazing, and like, yeah, they Americanized the snot out of it. Um, yeah, I love the CD Projekt Red games a lot. They're wonderful. Um, but yeah, you are 100% valid in feeling upset about that, and it's a shame too because I know that Henry Cavill, when working on it with like as Geralt of Rivia, he was so passionate about the books and about getting things right, and that's why he quit the show because he just got so sick of people bastardizing and westernizing the content that he was like, well, I'm not doing this anymore. So I appreciate him for standing up for the show, but like seriously, like I feel like, yeah, we very rarely get like Czech and Polish work, or like Eastern European, like good Eastern European myth, even like over here in the U.S. Slavic myth as a whole is almost completely not represented at all, which is partially why I wrote the Brady books. A lot of it is like Slavic mythology specifically. I focus predominantly on Ukraine and Russia, but like the only other book that I can think of that covered that stuff was the Gale and the wait what was it? Mockingbird. Let's see. No wait, what was that stupid book? Bear and the Nightingale. That's what I'm looking for. Bear and the Nightingale. And that was written by somebody who was a Russian historian. So unfortunately, the myth is really, really good. The execution, the writing, really, really bad. So she's definitely a historian first, author second. But I applaud her for what she was doing. I try and, like, yeah, represent as many cultures as I possibly can, as authentically as I can in my work. Because, like, it boils my blood watching main studios, like especially Western studios, just completely like bastardize people's cultures. It's so awful. Oh man. Yeah, it seems less intentionally offensive. Yeah, and you're right, Melpomene, you're right. Like, it's tough because like the movies that were made from the 70s to the 90s, like I feel like they did their best, but like we watched Pocahontas recently as our first foray back into Disney movies because I really wanted to break down and analyze what's happening in the industry. I plan on moving to Canada and going and working within the industry up there, and it's so bad. Pocahontas was like poking my eyeball out with a hot poker, and it was really frustrating because they got close, but not close enough. You know, it's like it's passable, but it's not really like good, and I don't think Disney has ever had a good grasp on like how to not be racist, whether intentionally or otherwise. And I'm like kind of waiting for them to get there, and they're just not doing it. It's just real bad. It's real bad. Henry Cavill's Geralt was one of the best choices. I agree. That was the best thing about the show. At least he was passionate about it. I don't know. It's funny because we as in Polish people only now have started to reclaim our Slavic roots. That's really cool. It's yeah, and I love speaking with so many people from all over the world because it's like it's great to be able to get people's perspectives from inside those cultures. I recognize that here in the United States, because of how politically charged our education system is, we don't get taught anything about literally anybody else in our like standardized public education other than beyond like certain things were bad, like World War II was bad broadly, you know, but they don't talk about the inner political like origins of the conflict, how we got there, who was actually helping out, you know, why things ended up unfolding in the way that they did. And then we learn even less about political systems in other countries or history of other countries. And so it's like, it's super frustrating. I'm trying my best. I'm like, I want to accurately represent these places as they were written, or in my writing as they were at the time. So it's, yeah, doing a lot of research is really important. I should go to Greece at some point in my life. I'm not saying as somebody who was just in Greece last June, go to Greece. But ultimately, I would say as somebody who was there, I did a bunch of island hopping, and then I also was in Athens. Jason and I were there for almost a solid month. We were there for just over half a month. And Crete, best place in Greece. Chania was amazing. Heraklion was amazing. But I guess I'm a little biased. Our tour guide, he was born in Heraklion, so he really knew the area super, super well. But the people on Crete, they were so nice. The beaches were amazing. The food was amazing. It just had a very different vibe. Athens was trash. It was really bad. Have you? Oh, I love how it flagged Lesbos. Oh my god. Unfortunately, I didn't go to Lesbos. I saw Lesbos from the other islands that I was on. So at some point, like, let me pull open a map of Greece here. I can show everybody where I kind of jumped around. So we started in Athens, then we took a big boat all the way down to Crete, and then we stopped in Chania, drove all the way across to Heraklion, spent some time there, and then we took a ferry north to... We didn't go... Did we go to Fida? Jeez.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we passed Fida, and then we went to, for sure, Paros. We were on Paros. We were also on
Eos.
Eos. Yeah, Eos, Mykonos. We didn't go to Delos.
No, we went to Athens, then Crete, then Eos, Santorini, Paros.
Yep. So we would have
and
seen
Mykonos.
Lesbos from Mykonos. That was as far north as we went, and then we didn't go any farther north to like the Lesbos area, and we went from Mykonos back over to Athena. So that's kind of what ended up happening. But yeah, it was an amazing island hop. I think we definitely passed Fida, but we didn't stop. Eos is here. This is Eos. The Eos was hands down my favorite island of like the quote touristy islands. Eos was amazing. Everybody on Eos was just so wonderfully friendly. It was the coolest place. But yeah, definitely Chania, hands down. Oh, Santorini. We went to Santorini as well. Santorini was ass. Super touristy and really shitty. I would not go over there. But yeah, it was an amazing trip. It was very, very cool. Oh, yeah, Melpomenea, we were just talking about the Palace of Knossos earlier. I actually got to walk the Palace of Knossos when we were in Heraklion as well. Beautiful architecture. That was the highlight of my trip. I feel like the reason that we did so much island hopping was because the trip was more focused on a lot of like young people who wanted to do party hopping. Like Mykonos is effectively just a party island. There's nothing else going on there except for like clubs. Which were fun. It was a fun night to do that for sure, but like I personally enjoyed the more like historical stuff, like going to the Palace of Knossos and like effectively the entirety of Crete was better, or being able to just walk around places like Eos. The Hora at Eos was great, and just being able to hang out in like small towns and stuff was amazing. But yeah, if anybody has a chance to go to Crete, Chania and Heraklion would be my recommendation. It's about a 45-minute bus ride from Chania to Heraklion, so you can cover the whole island of Crete in like 1 or 2 days. Like you can really do a lot. Maybe 3 if you really wanted to hang out and spend some time there. Let me see, because was that lighthouse that we went to? Yeah, it is. This was one of my favorite spots in the entirety of Greece, was this lighthouse. Really beautiful. So you can see it from Chania town in Crete, and it's just, oh my god, it was so beautiful. We got to sit at a restaurant and look at this thing lit up. Downtown Chania was like the coolest place ever. The whole street is just filled with like all of downtown is just all restaurants and shops. They're well known for producing a lot of leather goods, so it was a lot of like you would walk down the street and everything just smelled like freshly stained leather. And then they had killer seafood too, so this was pretty neat. This lighthouse was built by Renaissance Italians, so this is not like Greek architecture at all, but you could walk out there. We walked over there was like a dog. It was pretty fun, but all in all, the town is just so small, so cute. It was just, yeah, 10 out of 10 would recommend if anybody can get out there. It's a little expensive to travel to Greece, but Chania has its own airport, or Crete has its own airport, so you don't have to fly into Athens and take a ferry to Chania. It was like an 8-hour overnight ferry to get from the mainland to the island. I personally wouldn't recommend that. I would just fly straight to Chania if you can. But if you're going to go to a party island, Eos is the island for sure. Because Eos is where we did karaoke, or we did bar hopping on Eos too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one where we were at that little like fucking resort and we fucking hated it because it was like so noisy and loud.
Oh yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, the
But
resort itself was bad.
It had really good food. That was where the best.
Oh my god, the gyros from that stupid sandwich shop.
Sandwich
Bro,
shop.
this little old Greek lady was like, you have to go into this one specific sandwich shop and get a gyros from there. And I was like, okay, let's go. And it was the best damn sandwich I've ever had in my whole life. She was like, hold on, guys. I'm about to tell you. It was so good. All right. We're doing a slightly longer-ish sprint this time. So for those of you who are new, we're doing sprints. The way that these work is that they're timed work sessions. So if you're working on any kind of creative projects, feel free to work on anything that you want, or if you want to play games and nap or anything that you're working on, please do. I'm going to keep working on this manuscript. I'm at about 1,300 words, and I'm trying to get to 2,000 before the end of streams today. So that's kind of how these work. So we'll go for another 19 minutes here. Yeah, I'm not much of a party person, but I'll keep that in mind. Before I jump back into sprint, I have to show you, what was the stupid club that we were at on Mykonos, Jace?
It was a beachside venue.
Which one? Paradise Beach.
Yeah.
Paradise Beach. Okay, this thing, so stupid. This was the craziest shit of all time. Hold on. I need to find the inside of this stupid club. Okay, nobody is showing how absolutely apeshit it is in there. Yeah, this. Holy Lord. So we were, in the same place as Jason Derulo while we were here. So really weird. I didn't end up seeing him, but like if you're trying to describe like what's going on at Mykonos, man, this doesn't even fucking encapsulate it. Because when I say that there was like a half-naked man dressed as Tarzan twerking on a pillar, that's what was going on in here. Okay, wait, no, is this it? Hold on, this lady might have gotten it. Hold on, is this it? Okay, so this is Mykonos. Great, she's walking around. This shit. This. Okay, this was what it was. 24/7, 4 in the morning. Okay, but I was dancing on these tables. Everybody was drunk. We were all twerking. Okay, it was insane. Nonstop, 24/7. Crazy. So yeah, if you don't like to party, I would avoid Mykonos personally. Hold on, let me see if I can find videos of the go-go dancers, because I swear to God. Mykonos is wild! This person's like, I was dying. Oh wait, is this the lady? Hold on, this might be another one. I'm like, where are the girls? Yeah, no, this is it. We weren't at this bar, but like, look at this really drunk old Greek man in a Speedo dancing on the bar. Like, I swear to God, this guy is not a paid actor, okay? He's there, but this was it. Everybody's on tables dancing. This girl is paid, so that girl there would be working for the bar. But there were people dressed in, like, carnival regalia. Yeah, this dude's just there. This guy's just there. I wish, like, it was insane. I'm so mad. Oh, and then this guy's like, yeah, he's like the MC. This dude actually was there while we were there. This guy works the entire club strip, and he's like effectively an MC, keeping the party like going. But that dude actually stopped a lot of people from getting like beat up in crowds or like drugged. I really appreciated this guy. He was super nice actually. Really nice dude. But yeah, super crazy. That being said, I'm going to jump back into sprints. But sensory overload is absolutely what that place was. But it was fun. It was, oh boy. Twerking Tarzan absolutely was paid to be there. He was a paid employee for sure. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into this 19-minute sprint. This will be our last sprint of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working, and I will see you guys on the other side of this 19-minute timer. Have fun. Let me know what you're working on, and then we got this. Let's go. Alrighty. How did everybody do? I've hit my word count goal, which is good. And we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Hey, Tangent, we're doing pretty good. Almost done with stream today, but today I wrote a total of 2,300 words. Cal's cooking some cabbage. It's beautiful. Also, everybody should do a self-care combo. So hydrate, stretch, sit up straight. I was shrimping pretty bad. I'm so glad you do stream. Oh, that's so nice. I'm glad that this does help, though. I also have ADHD, and I find that these kinds of, like, work streams in, like, really short sprints like this help me a lot, too. So I'm glad that it helps other people. Let me finish this sentence so I'm not, like, caught in a weird spot. Effectively, I'm going to upload this entire first segment as a, quote, chapter. And then we'll go from there. And then I'll submit it to Wattpad. There we go. Amazing. All right. Hopefully this won't be too exposition-y. I recognize that because these are prequels to my Brady books, I have to be very careful about stating information about, like, world lore. Like, I recognize that in my universe, Oberon is not the king of fairies. I recognize Oberon from, like, a Celtic standpoint was the most prevalent, like, fairy in literature, especially in the medieval period and the Renaissance. But in my lore, for Brady, Oberon was assassinated, or he died in the war effectively between Fae folk and humans, because Roman Catholicism specifically tore across Europe, and with the death and the slaughter of so many pagans and non-traditional, like non-Catholic people, I think Oberon would have died in that war. And so somebody like Zarkosche, who is considered like the king of fairies in Slavic mythology, would have very quickly swept across Europe and then effectively taken over as king of fairies. And the main source of conflict between Zarkosche and then my characters, or in this particular case, Liz, the oldest of 3 siblings, is that Liz's mother, she was adopted as like a changeling effectively. She was the human baby that was taken from the orphanage, adopted by a Mavka, who has defected from Zarkosche to go and try and rule fairies in the, quote, New World, so in the Americas, as immigrants are bringing fairies and their own customs and beliefs over into the United States. And Zarkosche does not like that. He feels like he's being undermined as an authority. And so this entire book is about that conflict and how it impacts Liz as the kid in this situation. And so shit's getting crazy. But I have to be able to get this amount of lore in a very short period of time. So that way I don't have, like, excessive, I guess, rehashing. Not only rehashing of information for people who have read the Brady books, but also, too, that's not going to bog down the beginning of this first section with exposition. So that's going to be rough. Let's see, I'm struggling to shade Longcan Celadon-based jewelry. I've never heard of that. That is insane. I'm going to do a Google. I want to know. Oh my god, how pretty! Green Chinese ceramics. Well, and this looks like a hard material to shade because it has a pretty intense amount of, like, subsurface scattering. It's like marble, where it absorbs a lot of light. That is rough. That's pretty tough. It's a beautiful material, though. So, in other words, Long Tuan. I didn't realize that it was Chinese. Now I can read it and not be dumb. That's cool. It has UNESCO cultural heritage recognition. That's pretty dope. Song Dynasty and Ming Dynasty ceramics. We do love it. What is the name in Chinese? Longchuan Qingzi. Is that a... Hold on. Let me look at this shit. Hold on. What is the pinyin? I need pinyin, damn you. Yeah, Longchuan Qingzi. So, that's cool. That's really neat. I love it. I love that material. It looks really hard to shade. I was too sick to go to my IRL writing group, so I'm glad I found this. I'm glad that you popped in as well. Hopefully you'll feel better soon, because it is tough being sick. That is gross. Nobody likes that. But I do these sprints every single Tuesday from 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to around 2 every Tuesday if you ever want to pop in again. Otherwise, I stream like 3 other times a week. I stream Monday through Thursday, and we mostly work on art. So those ones are less like sprint-based streams, and they're more kind of free-form while I work on comics or like portfolio pieces. But if you like the stream, don't forget to follow. Stick around. Otherwise, though, I am going to go ahead and dip. I got to go do book marketing stuff, and I've got to grade my animation students' classes and keep my fingers crossed that there aren't like AI. We can hope. We can only hope. So I will be back tomorrow at about the same time. I'm gonna be working on comics tomorrow. If you want to come in and say hello. So I hope that everybody has a good rest of your day. And if you pop in again, I would love that. Wow, Pomane, thank you so much. I really appreciate the follow. Thank you, and welcome to the family. If you want to hang out outside of stream, there is indeed a Discord if you want to pop in and say hi. We share writing, we share art. It's a very casual group. We don't really do anything cray-cray, but it also lets you know when I go live as well. So hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Have a great rest of your day, and I will be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.